Hey guys, good afternoon and welcome back to St. Isidore's Farm channel and this 8th video in the series on Successful Fathers, the book by James B. Stinson. Wasn't sure if I was going to get this video in, and I'm trying to get it in the waning bits of daylight, but I really felt it necessary. It's been, gosh, 5-6 days since I've gotten one of these in, and today the poignancy and perhaps the providence of getting it in on this day when the church celebrates the solemnity of Christ the King. So I'm going to get right to this little bit in the end of the book and then come back to making that connection. Number 8, related to this, successful fathers are confident of their authority. They know that fatherhood is not an elective office. Their authority as father does not come from the consent of the governed. It comes with the job. It comes from the responsibility given by God and taken on freely by the man himself. Consequently, successful fathers are not afraid of being temporarily unpopular. Their love for their children and their commitment to the children's long-term best interests, these are strong enough to override the kids' bruised feelings and their occasional reluctance to do the right thing. In short, successful fathers, do not permit what they do not approve of. Though they may have inner doubts about the rightness of a given decision, they have no doubt whatever of their right to make a decision and to make it stick. I mentioned that the providence of doing a video on the authority of fathers as it relates particularly to discipline. On this day, when the church celebrates the solemnity of Christ the King, the kingship, the authority of Christ over the entire church, we, the baptized, are anointed priest, prophet, and king. We are anointed into the kingship of Jesus Christ. So as Christ himself is the head and king over the body of Christ, we as Christians, and particularly as fathers, share in that kingship. We get that, we receive that from Jesus Christ himself, from whom all authority comes. So within the domestic church, as St. Paul would say in the 5th chapter of his letter to the Ephesians on wives and husbands, where he is saying it's perhaps the unpolitically incorrect, not popular, often misunderstood verses where Paul talks about wives, and I would argue children, being subordinate to their husbands / fathers, as the church is subordinate to Christ, and of course then ties that back that says, as Christ suffered and sacrificed ultimately for the church, husbands do the same for their wives and children, to paraphrase that. So we as fathers, as Stinson points out, our authority in the family and over our children, these beautiful gifts that God has given us, well, when he gives us those gifts, he also gives us authority over them. And that's a thing that one has to grow into, and I think when children are young, we need to spend much time in trying to understand, to discern, to be introspective about ourselves and where we need to grow, where we need to be better, to improve ourselves, to be the men that we are called to be and should be, so that then we can then, hopefully, having learned from our own mistakes, form our children into the men and women they should become. And from that, have the confidence and the authority given us to correct where we need to. When our children make errors, when they make deviations. And this is not to say in micromanaging that we should be tyrannical or harsh or mean, overbearing, cruel, micromanaging in every facet of their lives, controlling our children, but that we should magnanimously, generously, kindly, lovingly form, guide, correct, shape our children into, as I said in a previous video, from the children that they are into the men and women we hope they will become, virtuous and godly. And so we may not always be, all of us as we become parents, this is it. You get one shot at it and you learn as you go. It is on-the-job training, but we avail of ourselves of all the things at our disposal. We look to mentors, our parents, our grandparents, those who went before us. We look at the men and women in this culture who we would like to be like the saints and others around us, and then also imagine our children in that way. So we do correct lovingly, but with confidence, so that when children, as Stinson says, we have to override the kids' bruised feelings and their occasional reluctance to do the right thing. We've got to be firm, fathers, and not waver, and not sort of shift and move. Children need firm boundaries, and they need consistency, right? A consistent authority figure in their life that corrects them on right and wrong, good and bad, all the days of their life. So it again, that authority isn't one day perhaps gentle and easygoing and kind of doesn't care about something that they are doing, and perhaps another day a crushing power that comes down on them, and that inconsistency for children is terrible, right? That they never sort of know what the boundaries are, that one day they do something and perhaps there's no response and they get away with something, and then another day the correction is severe and harsh. That is no good. It should be a consistent, good and loving, but firm, with full confidence in our authority to make such guidance and corrections every single day of their lives. Now, of course, we're human. We will err ourselves, but what we should hope to do is to have a clear path laid out for them and correct when they occasionally veer, whether intentionally or unintentionally. If it's an unintentional, it's a gentle thing, whereas if Stinson points out occasionally it's an intentional pushing against our authority, that is going to happen. We all do that. It is perhaps in our nature to push boundaries, and the children need to know and understand that their father is absolutely confident in his authority and will very firmly maintain those boundaries. I think that's it. I hope everybody had a good and blessed Sunday wherever you are, and it's been a terrific day here on the farm, and lots of projects still got to get back in and get to, but thank you for watching. Thank you for those of you that have been keeping up with this series. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please leave comments, and we'll hopefully get another video back in here soon before the Thanksgiving holiday. But that's it from St. Isidore's Farm. God bless and good evening.